Alright, so welcome to part 9 of my InflationRPG full game guide. So in the last part, part 8, you were to get, or I advised to get 2 RAINBOY drops, just any 2, Hero Gem plus 1s or Hero Gem plus 2s, just any combination 2 of them. Personally, I got 2 HG2s, which just makes everything so much easier moving forward. It's a really lucky break for me. Don't expect it to happen. Or don't expect it to have happened, don't be like disappointed that it didn't happen to you. But even 2 HG1s will allow you to at least do all the upcoming stuff, although obviously not as comfortably. It'll absolutely allow you to do the bare minimum for this guide part, because there's kind of a range of different, situations you could be in by the time you move on to part 10. This part is similarly pretty simple, similarly to the last one that is, if you want it to be. But if you're confident in your own knowledge of the game at this point, which hopefully you should be, you're kind of most of the way into it by now. If you are confident in your knowledge, you can make it into probably one of the most interesting parts of the entire game. Maybe the most interesting part, to me personally. This is because despite being, pretty far into the game, there are several different ways from here, from where we're at, to get upgrades to your gear. At this point of IRPG, at this point of the game, player's skill, well, skill in quotes, also I should put this up, player, quotes, skill, in terms of game knowledge, is a very real thing. And there is skill involved in terms of just knowing what you're doing, and having that skill can be very helpful. But in the same kind of way, lacking that skill, or, not really knowing what you're doing that well and not having that good of a feel for the game can make things a lot harder than they need to be. But, I mean, if you are lacking skill, this is the part of the game to get it. It's really easy to kind of get a better idea of what you're doing here by just trial and error. So if you're, say, struggling to get a good enough run to safely farm in BBA, which is something we'll get to in HM, you might be playing too safe and not, advancing fast enough and losing a ton of levels due to it, or too unsafe and losing too much, a ton of BP due to deaths, which just ruins any run. Or you might just be lacking quite enough gear. You might need a couple, a RAINBOY drop or 2 more. And it does take a decent amount of feel for the game to know which one of those problems you actually have. So, I mean, as always, if you want or, need more detailed advice or specifics for stuff, you can just join the Discord server. I mean, I'll link it in the description like I have with every other video. Also, there are a couple things I have to mention. So firstly this, I have 62 weapons, so I'll just demonstrate here. Alright, so how do I explain this? I have a 30 HG2 now, and also a 3 crit ring that I got lucky and just happened to get. And also a proof of the hero, which is something that we'll get onto in this video. And I also have 62 weapons, which is almost enough for HM white bonus area, which is the farm the next video will about. I was having fun playing, so I didn't bother starting to write up the script for this until I'd already gotten a bunch more progress. Don't worry about it. Advice I give here, don't worry, won't assume that you have, a bunch of extra stuff. It won't just assume you've kept playing the game after part 8 for a bunch and then been like, I guess I should check the next part of the guide now, randomly. It'll assume that you probably finished the stuff from part 8, got 2 RAINBOY drops, and then went straight to looking at part 9. And really, the advice I give here is kind of regardless of your year. If you know what you're doing well enough, you could probably do all this stuff with 0 total RAINBOY drops. If this is your first save, do not try that. Trust me, just don't. You will hit it, it will not work unless you're insane at the game and you know so much stuff. So anyway, oh my god. So anyway, this video contains 3 different farms. They're all close enough together in terms of where they're farmed out to work on all 3 things at once. But they also all have totally different rewards. So what I mean by that is, in terms of you can work on all 3 at once, what I mean is, you can just do a run that kills RAINBOY, which is one of the 3 for, a chance at more of his loot. And then you can, so there's RAINBOY, there's bosses in heaven, and then there's black bonus area. So you can kill RAINBOY, then go into heaven, and while you're building up the level to survive in black bonus area, you can kill the heaven bosses and maybe get their gear. So you can work on all three at once, but they also have all different rewards, and what I mean by that is, wow, what you go to BBA for is Proof of the Hero. So Proof of the Hero is, how do I explain this? So basically RAINBOY, you're going for accessories that are really good now, and they will be really good until you're done farming HMK, really, until you're ready to ascend and finish the entire game. Like, that's where we're at here. The Heaven bosses drop weapons and armor upgrades, and Black Bonus Area drops what later on into runs, at the end of the game, will eventually become the best item that gives stats in the entire game. Just the best stat accessory. So there's a lot of variety to the rewards as well. I've talked a lot, so firstly, and most importantly, primarily, there is just continuing to farm RAINBOY. I'm not really gonna be able to do much while I talk here, since there's not much to get to. I guess I'll just go to RAINBOY, but it'll be done by the time I get there. So yeah, the first thing is just continuing to farm RAINBOY, since with only 2 of his drops, there's still a lot more to get from him. You'll probably, I mean, you'd be a bit lucky to even have 1 HG2 by the time you reach this video. If you have 2 HG1s, that's perfectly normal, and that means you have a whole lot of extra upgrades that you can get out of him still. You know how to do this, so I'm not going to go over doing it really. Just look at the last guide part for that. And if you want to keep things simple for yourself, all I'm going to ask you to do in this part of the guide series is to just keep farming RAINBOY and RAINBOY alone this way, or, you know, the same way you did in the last episode, until you have any combination of 4 RAINBOY drops instead of the 2 that you came into this episode, that you came into this part with. That'll mean you will guaranteed have at least 1 HG2. Quite possibly 2. Very unlikely you'll have 3. I have 3 HG2s without any HG1s, which, to put it one way, I don't think I've ever heard of anyone getting that in a save before. But yeah, so if that's what you're gonna do, and you're just gonna, you know, farm RAINBOY and nothing else, you can probably just skip to the last couple minutes of this video, but I am gonna do a quick RAINBOY run here, just kind of casually while I speak. I should probably be able to get there by the time I'm, you know, ready to cut to BBA. But yeah, so the first of the 2 new farms for this video is HMBBA. So there are a bunch of things that aren't clear about this immediately, probably. So what item are you going there for? Firstly, because it wasn't very useful in NM, right? Like, I mean, there were +4 gems for each stat, which sure as hell aren't useful at this point in the game, and there were some weapons that weren't very good, and there was an armor that's not very good. All that, obviously, you'd want if you're trying to get, you know, one of everything, but still. So what you're going to HMBBA for is an accessory called Proof of the Hero. So you could also get weapons to make the HMWBA unlock easier. That's less important than getting proof, or, you know, less huge than getting proof, but they're still nice to get, since HMWBA unlock can be pretty hard. It requires 66 weapons, which is a lot. Now, what does proof do? That's a good question. I don't know how to give a complete answer in under like 10 or 20 minutes, but basically, what it does is it makes your character's effects on stats 50% stronger. So if you're orange hair, and I guess I can demonstrate this right now since I have one, I'll replace a crit damage ring that gives no stats with a proof, right? So this ends with a 7, this ends with a 6, this ends in 2, these end in zeros. So you can see the stats that change here. I'll switch this out. So if you're orange hair, which I currently am on, this means you get more HP, 910k versus 747k. You also get a lot more attack because orange hair is on the top row. She gets like 2 buff to attack essentially, so 5.1 mil, 5.6 mil. That might not seem like a lot, but it really is. And then also gives some more luck, so 760k, 646k. So unlike every other accessory in the game that gives you just stats, like just more stats, this one multiplies stats instead of adding to them. So it's basically shit. Like, it's really, really bad at the start of a run. Like, you should not use it anywhere before Heaven. unless you literally don't have anything from Rainbow and somehow have a proof. But it's about as good as HG2 by the time you're at the end of HM Heaven. And for HM Archangel tries, it is actually the single best stat item in the game. By the time, once you're at endgame, and only once you're at endgame, you will go from not really caring too much about whether you have them to needing 3. Don't worry about specifics for this. I've played this game for about 3.5 years, used the item, used proof an incredible amount at endgame and on endgame runs, and even now, if you ask me for a better explanation of what proof does than the one I just gave, I will not be able to help you. Doesn't stop me from getting insane amounts of use out of it. Knowing exactly, precisely, numerically what it does isn't important. You just need to know that whatever stats your character boosts, it makes those boosts a lot better. So, anyway, that's enough about what proof does, that's enough of an explanation. So what we need first is 51 weapons. I showed it on my stats screen at the start of this video. Because I played a bunch before even starting to record, I currently have 62. So, yeah, I don't really need to care, but I'll give a list of what I think are the easiest 51 at the end of this script. Like, at the end of this video script, rather. So, I'm gonna complete this run to the point of killing RAINBOY, unless I take a bit to get Suzaku, in which case I'll just, you know, whatever. But yeah, if I don't get Suzaku really quickly here, I'll just skip to actually getting into the damn place, and until then, I can kinda just ramble. So, yeah, after like 10 or 15, maybe, kills after the second HG2, I got a third HG2. I've genuinely never seen that happen before. Like, this Civ has been unbelievably lucky. I got on the way to second HG2, I got like a 3 crit ring, which is huge for boss set. I'll just play until I get Suzaku, or until I hit like 10 BP, and just waffle until then. I'll mark this as skippable. Yeah, I got a 3 crit, I got a Rev 1, Rev 1 being something that you really, really, really need for arcs, like for HM Archangels, and that you should never ever use other than for HM Archangels. Basically because it gives you a chance to survive a hit that would otherwise kill you, but only a chance. So how you would end up using this, the only way this would ever be an option is if you're trying to just glass cannon, just slap your face into someone that deals like 1,000,000,000 times your HP or something as damage, but they only have so much HP, and you whittle that down eventually just rolling like, you know, 4 on the D4 every time, and just surviving every one of their hits. Or no, just rolling like a 2, 3, or 4 on the D4. It's not a 25% chance to survive your hits, it's about a 25% chance to die. Yeah, and just RNGing out and living every hit you take until they die. That is how we kill arcs. It sucks. I really wish it was any other way. But, I mean, I still enjoy it, because it's kind of exciting to just watch yourself take, like, literally about 10 times your health as damage from every hit and just not die. But yeah, that's a brief tangent about how, endgame impossible boss fights work. They're not so impossible. I've killed, you know, Gabriel, who was meant to be impossible, 101 times, as of when I'm recording this, and by the time you're watching this, it could be at least 102. Maybe way more, who knows, if I get the motivation. But yeah. So I got a 3rd HG2, I got into BBA a couple times and got a proof. Yeah, I kind of just felt like playing the game a bunch, after finishing and uploading part 8. Oh, excuse me. Yeah. I've not really much else to say. I should really finish this. I've gotten kind of lazy with stuff like that, like writing up like checklist notepads for videos. Like, I swear, like, I don't think I've started recording on any of the last like 3 or 4 with this notepad, like text file already completed and in the state I want it to be at the end of the video. It'll probably be completed after the first like cut into BBA. But yeah, until then, it looks like shit. It doesn't contain everything it's supposed to. In fact, it only contains one. One of the things it's supposed to. But yeah. I mean, if you're waiting for me to just skip to the part where I talk about BBA, just look at the description and, skip to wherever I say to in there. But for now, I'm waiting for Suzaku, and that means that, from my point of view right now, how long this part of the video is entirely random. It is not up to me. I have no control over it. I also have my dinner sitting right here to start eating whenever I start recording. Or start eating whenever I stop recording. So I really want this piece of crap to just spawn already so I can kill him, kill RAINBOY, stop recording, eat my food. Dude, I got a whole steak here just sitting waiting for me to eat it. It'd be awesome, but I can't eat it. Okay, empty map. That's like the best time to use a daily. Okay, come on. If you don't give me this here, if I don't get Suzaku from this bonus, I'm just cutting it right there. I'm just cutting to BBA. You know how to do a RAINBOY farm run, but I mean, I figured I might as well just do a quick example. There we go. So, what I'm at this point is I don't go through crystals anymore. Like, I don't kill, HP, defense, luck, agility, attack, crystal. That sounds like a random order, but it's HP, defense, luck, agility, attack. In, like, counterclockwise order. So what I do here is I stat a shit ton of luck, and I go onto my luck set, which is 1.4 million luck. This is because I already have most of RAINBOY drops, and a proof as well, which on a luck character is honestly better than an HG2 for luck. And then I kill him. Oops. Although I usually end up being kind of risky with my attack just because I want to have a ton of luck, mostly because it looks funny. I did not get an HG1. I'm about 100 kills in on RAINBOY, and I don't have a hero gem +1. It's insane. But yeah, and then I'm in heaven, and then I like L9 teleport hack to black bonus area farming, where I have all the weapons I need, and I don't know, I'm probably just gonna cut it to when I'm in there, so yeah, I'm gonna stop talking now and hit the stop recording button. Okay, so now we are in HMBBA. So you might notice that my level is over 200,000, so I'm clearly, far into a run, which is not a thing you'd see in NM bonus areas, where, or at least, for farming them, where in NM they're just farmed out at the start of a run with basically no leveling that you care to do before getting into one. The only levels you gain on the way to getting a bonus area in NM are ones that you from bosses you have to kill on the way to Graveyard to active farm. But here I am level 216,000. I've clearly gone far into a run. So why that is, well, do you remember how question mark bonus mobs in HM have like tons more attack and HP than they have in NM? Like a lot more, like more than the 10 times stats roughly that most mobs have? Yeah, so bonus area mobs have around 100 times their NM stats in HM. This means that you'll have to at least do some leveling in heaven before you're ready to take on HMBBA in a run. Like before you have the stats to even survive in there. And knowing when you're ready to survive in here just takes time and runs of your own to get experience and figure out, okay, at this level, I got in here before and I died, and at this level I got in here before and I was perfectly fine. And this depends on like your exact gear, like every last thing you have could, change the level, could like lower the level that you need to be to get in here. Character level also matters at that point, like everything. I can't just say, okay, so for this gear you need to be this level before you're ready to survive in here. The only example I can really give is from my own play, where I seemed to be fine as long as I was above like level 220, 230k, when I was, just after finishing party it. Although do consider that I had 2 HG2s as my first 2 RAINBOY drops. But even with those 2 HG2s and without this, I was fine at around level 220, 230k. So there are two kinds of mobs in BBA. There are monoliths and then there's ghoul. This is a monolith. You can tell if an enemy's a monolith because it's a big ass gray rectangle. That's kind of it. With like a face here. I know that one doesn't look like a face. Most of them don't really. That mob was entirely easy. Like I fully out-healed it. This is ghoul. So this is the reason why you can't enter HMBBA like 50k levels lower. You see how far away I am from out-healing him? Like, I'm taking about 150k damage overall each turn, if nothing, you know, if no, like, crits or combos happen. Despite the fact that I have an extra HG2 from what I had when I finished party it, and I also have a proof. So yeah. He's still fine at this level for me now, but yeah. There he is again. He's about a 1 in 3 spawn rate. So if you can't kill him, if you get into BBA but you're not leveled well enough to kill him, you're not gonna have the nicest of times, because a third of your fights, sometimes more, you know, it's a small sample size, so random shit can mean you get like 20 goals and 50 BP or something, or like 5 and 50, it depends. Yeah, a third of your fights roughly, if you can't take on goal, will lose you 5 BP instead of 1. That is not very nice, but it's still, and obviously reload here. Make sure you know how to reload. Otherwise, this farm will be, I'm serious, it will be impossible. You will never get it completed. It'll be possible, in theory, you know, you can get into the bonus area and you can take fights in there, but you will never finish it. Nobody would be done with this game if not for reloading. It's because of bonus areas. But yeah, so... Oh, okay, I'll just skip to talking about this. So this is Lust Monolith. This is the enemy that you're looking for. This is how Black Bonus Area looks on our RPG map. So, in hard mode, in normal mode, I'll look first. In normal mode, he drops, well, just about the least cool things ever. And in hard mode, he drops Proof of the Hero, and it's not a bad drop rate either. It's 5% for 1,000,000 luck, and even if you only have like 300k, which is pretty reasonable at this point in the game, it's over 4%. That's a really good drop rate for this point in the game. But yeah. So... this is the mob you're looking for. This is the one where if you fight him, it's like, whoa. Didn't get it this time, but yeah. So it is kind of worth, I'd say, just taking a BBA anyway, if you're, you know, not quite leveled enough and you know Ghoul will kill you. Just because it can be really annoying and it can take a really long time to actually just find and get into either bonus area in HM. Just because, like, I mean, yeah, you don't have, you know, something like what you have in early NM with Graveyard, where there's a map with 10 zones, like 10 different places that a bonus area could spawn on. So it can be really frustrating to even just get in, so personally, I would say if you know that you're high level enough to kill monoliths, and you see a BBA bonus, I mean, you might as well try it. Like... I mean, yeah, you will die a lot, but I mean, it's alright. Like, you could still get the item. There are there are 4 weapons in here, which obviously are nice to get for the HMBBA unlock requirement, which is 66 weapons, which actually is kind of hard to reach. And there's the armor, which isn't really that good. Like, light armor +1 is just better. But yeah, so if you're going to BBA, what you're trying to get is proof, but at the same time, it's not like you can really control what enemies spawn. So yeah, just hope you get a bunch of Lust Monoliths, because each monolith has about a 9.6% spawn rate on any given fight. So you won't be seeing Lust all that often, but as long as you get there with some BP, you should at least be able to see a couple. And yeah, that's kind of it for BBA. I don't think there's really much of anything else to explain, so I'm just, I guess, gonna move on to the third and final thing that you can farm for this guide part, which is just straight up normal bosses in heaven for their weapons and armor. Alright, so the next thing to go for here is, I think I already said this before I cut the last thing, but yeah, the next thing to go for here is heaven bosses. This isn't really a thing to go for, I guess. This is like the one I'd recommend the least. Like, this, do it. No matter what, do this. Like, get 4 RAINBOY drops, or 3 if your first 3 are all HG2s, which again, I don't think I've ever seen any save with 3 HG2s and no HG1s, apart from this one I'm using right now. BBA I would recommend. This I would only recommend if you can't be bothered resetting. And this part of this I just wouldn't recommend at all unless you have like a ton of stuff. So you might have noticed this isn't a weapon that you maybe know about yet. I mean, you can kind of tell here this is an HMBBA weapon. Yes, I have an HMBBA weapon. Pretend I don't. Yeah, I really put off recording this. So yeah. Like, if you pretend I still have GLS1, right? I have a JIP of it as well. It's not even on best items, but pretend I just have 1 GLS. Even Suzaku does drop kind of an upgraded weapon. And he drops 4 Gods Red Lance +1. I'm not sure if I can kill. With that fight, I guess I can. I really should have used a boss set there. But yeah, he drops 4 Gods Red Lance +1, which has 510% attack, which is close enough to GLS1's 530 that like a lot of base would make it at least like better for a lot of run. And then it does have a lot of base. It has 125,000 flat attack. Yeah, and then obviously there's the next boss, Bayako, okay, when I'm saying the full name of him, I call him Byako, but I've started calling him Bayako recently, because when I shorten it to just BYA, I just call him Baya. Because, like, it makes more sense. Like, Bia? That sounds weird. I'm not gonna say that. But yeah, so I can go over to him. With the gear I had after finishing part 8, as in, you know, 2 HG2s, better than you'd expect to have at that point, but still, I could take on Baya at about, like, level 270 to 280k. Although it massively helped that I do have a 3 crit ring, so I'm not sure. Just, if you want to farm heaven bosses, you'll have to experiment a bit with that for yourself as well. So I'm gonna use this, and just, I mean, hopefully kill him. I might die, I'm not sure. Yeah, that was a bit risky. I didn't have as much attack as I probably should have, but yeah, he drops white armor +1, 50k flat defense, and 480%. That is kind of, I mean, that is the 3rd highest percent defense on any armor in the game. It is straight up the 3rd best armor in InflationRPG. And that's including wing armor +1, which you will never get unless you spend probably multiple thousands of hours in this game, or you just get super lucky in like the sickest way ever. So, I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's basically the 2nd best armor in the game. Although it's not that much better than light one, it's still nice. And then the 3rd and final one that I'd ever advise you farm for. Look at this! Look at this! What is this? The 3rd and final one that I'd ever say is reasonable to be going for upgrade purposes is 4 Gods Blue Sword +1 from Seiryu. You might have noticed this. That is 620% attack. Now, I got Excalibur +1, this like WBA sword, which, by the way, fun fact, in the IRPG community, we just call it Allah Sword. Like the God of Islam. Allah Sword. Don't ask why. Because I don't have an answer to give you. Like, I don't know, but it's really funny, I think. But yeah, it's got 580% attack, and this thing has 620%. Like, if I were to, you know, fluke this and get it while recording here, it would be an upgrade to me. You know, despite already having something really good from WBA. So, the reason why I really wouldn't advise farming this, even though it's so good, it is also the 3rd best weapon in the game behind Longinus +1 from WBA and Wingsword +1. So, you know, the 2nd best that you'll probably ever get. Without spending a shit ton of time farming Archangels. So it's the 2nd best weapon in the game, essentially, but I wouldn't advise farming it. That is because this guy is tough to kill. I've died a couple times in this run, so I only have 23 BP left. I don't have stat point crystal +1 from WBA. I don't have the armor from WBA. I do have a big weapon upgrade from there. Like, it's 50% higher than GLS1 and is more flat. And I have 3 crit. And I have a 30 G2. And I have a perf. I'm still not really sure if I'll be able to kill him this run, just because I died twice. So I really wouldn't advise this one, but if you've killed Bayeko and you have a ton of BP left, then I guess you might as well try it. Like, yeah, but I'll just cut to whenever I'm ready to kill him, if I am this run, and if not, I'll just cut to title screen probably after the run, who knows. No, this is stupid, there's no way I live this actually. Oh, well, okay. Alright, well, that's Siri. I got really lucky to even kill him there. Otherwise, if he has no combat bonus on him, I end up having to wait until, like, level 850k. And again, no, 350k, not 850, that's impossible. And again, 3 crit instead of 2 crit, 30 SG2, a weapon from WBA I'm not even really meant to have yet as of doing this video. Like, I mean, the biggest you should do is just come here and try for a half attack, that's about it. Anyway, I guess it's time to wrap the video up, so, yeah. Alright, so that's, I guess, the end of this one. This probably will be the longest episode, or part of the guide yet, in terms of just like how long. Well, part it is probably gonna have been longer if you just go the simple way and, you know, just get 2 more RAINBOY loot and then go to part 10. But if you, you know, kind of take the long road, just, you know, don't just end runs a RAINBOY and you go on into heaven, farm, try to find a BBA, try to, you know, kill the first couple heaven bosses, then this one could take longer, but you'll end up, you know, getting a lot more stuff in it and getting to have a lot easier time in part 10. Part 10 is going to be all about hard mode white bonus area, which is where you get some of the very last gear in the game. We're actually getting really close to just the end of IRPG content now. We're getting close to endgame. So the first thing we're going to need to do for that is get 66 weapons, but that'll come, you know, that'll be a thing in that video, and at the end of the script that I link in the description that I used for this video, I will have a list of what I'd say are the easiest 51 weapons in the game. I'm not going to have any like backup options for this one because really if you get this far, if you got multiple RAINBOY drops, then even if like the 51st easiest weapon is giving you a hard time, you'll be fine. Like, you clearly have the mental to push through it, so yeah. I don't think there's really much else to say. I think this was a long one, so if you watched the whole way through, thanks I guess, and yeah, bye.